Hi, my name's Kate Atherley and I'm here at the Creative Festival demoing some of my favorite knitting techniques. I'm going to talk about casting on because casting on is the most important element of your project because it's your start and you want your cast on to look good. You also want it to be easy to knit from and you want it to create the right edge. You want it to be an attractive edge but functional too. For example, with this sock I'm knitting, I've got a nice stretchy cast on so I can make sure that I can get it on. So my favorite all-purpose cast on is the long tail cast on. It's called the long tail cast on because you use a long tail. And what you do is you make your stitches using two ends of the yarn. So I make a slip knot, a good distance up my yarn, and the answer to the question how far, you'll never run short if you leave yourself an inch per stitch. So if you have to cast on 36 stitches, for example, about 3 feet of yarn, it's always going to be plenty. You'll never run out. So I make a slip knot that distance up my yarn and I place it on my needle. And I'm actually just going to hold it down with my index finger because it will otherwise fly around. And I make a fist around the two yarns and I pull them down so that there's a bit of tension in them. And I make a cat's cradle. I'm separating the two strands and then I'm flipping my palm up. I'm pointing at the ceiling so that what I can do is I've got access to the strands. And using my needle in my right hand, I swing over and pick up the strand on my thumb and that makes a loop. And then I just pull the finger strand through the loop. You're basically knitting a stitch. And now I just let go and I tighten it up, but don't tighten it too much. And I make a loop on my thumb and I pull the finger yarn through it and I just drop my thumb and I reposition my hand if I need to. What I'm doing is I'm leaving myself some space between the stitches so that you get a nice flexible edge and you get a nice stretchy edge, and also the stitches are easy to knit the first time. You don't want the cast on to be too tight because you'll just have a bad time knitting that first row. So I'm just making a loop on my thumb, pulling the finger strand through, and I'm making my stitches. And I love this cast on because it is an attractive edge. It's a stretchy edge, but also, as you can see, it's pretty fast. Sometimes so fast, in fact, that I don't bother counting as I'm doing it. I just cast on a bunch of stitches and then I count and see if I've got enough yet. So it goes well. So the trick with this, because you're making stitches with both ends of the yarn, is just to make sure you have enough because you don't want to run out because that's just annoying. So if you use the inch a stitch measurement, you'll always have plenty. You may have too much, but that's okay. And you know what? Here's another secret. What I do is I use these to sew up. So if this is for pieces of a sweater, I've got this nice long tail available to me for seaming. The long tail cast on really is my favorite all-purpose cast on. It's perfect for socks because it creates a nice stretchy edge, but it's also great for everything because it's quick, it's easy, and it's attractive too. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you learned something from this. I hope I've added to your knitting toolkit. You can see more tips and tricks and see some of my design work at my website. It's wisehildaknits.com. Hilda was my grandmother. She taught me to knit, and so I remember her this way, wisehildaknits.com. Thanks.